ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारणम्। Hare Krishna and welcome back to today's episode of the Mahabharata. Last time we have seen how the ruler of Sindhu, the Sindhu Raja, Jayadratha, was also known as Saindava, was the husband of Dushala, the youngest sister of Duryodhana. He happened to be going to the kingdom of Shalva for an alliance, for a marriage. And along the way he happened to pass through the forest where the Pandavas were staying, and being captivated by the beauty of Draupadi, he tried to forcibly abduct her while the Pandavas were not there in the forest at that time. Now what happened to Draupadi? The Pandavas, when Jayadratha came to their hermitage and he abducted Draupadi, the Pandavas were in the forest. They were not in the hermitage at that point of time. When the Pandavas returned to the hermitage, they found the maid servant of Draupadi, Dhatrayika, lying on the floor and weeping inconsolably. The Pandavas quickly approached her and they understood that something was amiss. And when they looked around, they could not find Draupadi also. Then this maid servant Dhatrayika informed the Pandavas how the king Jayadratha had come there, and against her wishes, Draupadi was forcibly abducted by Jayadratha. Dhatrayika also informed the Pandavas the direction in which Jayadratha, along with his retinue of the few soldiers of that small bit of army that he had brought along with him, which direction they had gone into. That was also pointed out by Dhatrayika. Immediately the Pandavas, they had their chariots and their horses and all that. They immediately set out in pursuit of Jayadratha. While pursuing Jayadratha, after a little while, they came across Dhaumya Rishi. This Dhaumya he was the family priest of the Pandavas, and he also happened to be near the hermitage of the Pandavas when Jayadratha had abducted Draupadi. And when Dhaumya saw Jayadratha kidnapping Draupadi, he vehemently protested and he beseeched Jayadratha not to do such an evil thing and to set Draupadi free. But this Jayadratha was an evil person. He did not heed anything of what Dhaumya said. After following Jayadratha for some distance and trying to convince him to release Draupadi, when Dhaumya saw that it was not possible for him, that Jayadratha was not listening to, so he was left behind by Jayadratha and he had gone forward. So this Dhaumya Rishi again related to the Pandavas that what had happened and how he was also a witness to Jayadratha forcibly abducting Draupadi, and how he had tried his best to stop Jayadratha, but he would not listen to him. And Dhaumya again showed the Pandavas in which direction Jayadratha had gone. So now the Pandavas very quickly pursued the direction in which Jayadratha had gone, and very soon they caught up with him. And Jayadratha could see from the distance the Pandavas coming forward, and so he asked Draupadi that who are these people who are coming? And Draupadi replied that these people are my 5 husbands, the Pandavas, whom even the Devatas cannot face in battle. Get ready to face your death. So Jayadratha said, after all 5 of them, I got an army of a few thousand people with me. What they will be able to withstand? Let us see. One hand, I will also see. So like that, Jayadratha was also very arrogant, and he thought, I will see what these people can do. And quickly, when the Pandavas came, Jayadratha sent forth his army, and the army of Jayadratha fell upon the Pandavas. A few thousand soldiers on one side and only the 5 Pandavas on the other. But the Pandavas were no ordinary people. Each of them was capable of fighting thousands of soldiers single-handedly. And so, Yudhishthira Maharaj, he killed a few hundred soldiers. Bhima killed a few other 100 soldiers. Arjuna also took care of a few hundred of them. Nakula also, Sahadeva also. And very quickly, in no time, Jayadratha saw that his whole army was completely vanquished. There was hardly anything left. And whatever little few people were surviving, they all ran away. And now Jayadratha is all alone. So Jayadratha realized, I had underestimated the strength of the Pandavas. So he thought, now, Jayadratha, although he had, on the spur of the moment, he had abducted Draupadi, thinking that the Pandavas would be no match for him. At heart, actually, he was a very big coward. So when he saw that his whole army was finished, and he was all alone standing in front of these 5 Pandava brothers, he left Draupadi there, and he quickly took his chariot and started, fleeing from the spot. So the Pandavas, now that they had dispersed the entire army, they quickly caught up with Draupadi, and the Pandavas inquired whether she was all right. And then Bhima and Arjuna told Yudhishthira Maharaj that, Maharaj, you please take Draupadi back safely to the hermitage. Nakula and Sahadeva will accompany you. We both will see to this Jayadratha. So then Yudhishthira Maharaj said, okay, I will take Draupadi with me. And then Yudhishthira Maharaj told Bhima, but please be careful. He is the husband of our sister Dushala. Therefore, do not kill him. Do not take his life. Only teach him a lesson. That's good enough. So Arjuna and Bhima continued in pursuit of Jayadratha, and Yudhishthira, Nakula, Sahadeva along with Draupadi, they returned to the hermitage. Now by the time the Pandavas had got back Draupadi, inquired about her welfare, and sent her back along with Yudhishthira and Nakula and Sahadeva to the hermitage, by then at great speed Jayadratha had already crossed a couple of miles beyond the Pandavas. So Jayadratha had got a head start. Now how to catch up with him? So Arjuna sent forth a few arrows in the direction where Jayadratha had gone, and those arrows quickly covered all the couple of miles which Jayadratha had already passed by, and they went and killed Jayadratha's horses. So now Jayadratha was left without a chariot, so he started running away on foot. So when he was running on foot, the Arjuna and Bhima on their chariots very quickly caught up with Jayadratha. And so they saw Jayadratha is running away, and behind him Arjuna and Bhima are coming. And Bhima started calling out, hey Jayadratha, where are you running? Stop, wait, stand there and fight with us. Jayadratha was in no mood to turn around. He simply kept running. Actually, a Kshatriya is never supposed to run away from battle. And especially when he is challenged, he cannot turn away like that. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, the real character of a real Kshatriya is Yuddhe Chapalayanam. In a battlefield, even if he is facing death, the Kshatriya, the true Kshatriya, will never turn back. But Jayadratha was a Kshatriya in name only. He was actually a big coward. He was not qualified to be a Kshatriya. Kshatriya, the meaning of the word Kshatriya is Kshatta Trayate iti Kshatriyaha. One who protects his citizens from any kind of harm is called a Kshatriya. It was the duty of the Kshatriya to protect the citizens bodily also and their honor also. A Kshatriya is always supposed to give special protection Although generally the Kshatriya is supposed to give protection to the citizens, the Kshatriya has to give special protection to the children, to the women, and to the elderly people, and to the cows. These four were required to be given special protection by the Kshatriyas. Kshatriyas would sometimes abduct some girls with the intention of marrying them. But such girls would be unmarried girls, and the intention in abducting them would be to marry them, not with any other evil intention. For a Kshatriya to set his eyes upon a married woman was a strict no-no. It was a forbidden thing. A Kshatriya could abduct an unmarried girl and marry her, but he could never set his eyes upon a woman who was already married. Draupadi was a well-married woman. She had children of her own, and Jayadratha was knowing this very well, and even though she expressed that she had no interest in Jayadratha, still Jayadratha abducted her. So this is completely against the codes of Kshatriya Dharma. Now this Jayadratha, actually by trying to abduct the Pandava's wife, he had become an Atatayin. In the Vedic terminology, there are kinds of Atatayins or aggressors. A person who encroaches upon one's property, a person who administers poison, a person who abducts one's wife, a person who suddenly attacks one with deadly weapons without any prior notice. So all these kind of people are called Atatayins or aggressors. And in the Vedas it is said that if somebody is an aggressor, is identified as an Atatayin, then the person, the victim whoever is there, if he kills that Atatayin, that aggressor, then there is no sin incurred in that. Even in the modern days we can see that the law will take a very lenient view if a man kills another man in self-defense. This is somewhat similar to that. But of course the Vedas were very specific, and they had delineated the 7 kinds of people in killing whom nobody could incur a sin, and the king also could not punish such people. By abducting Draupadi, Jayadratha had become an Atatayin, an aggressor, and according to the codes of Dharma, he was liable to be killed. So now Arjuna and Bhima, when they saw that Jayadratha is not turning around and he is not standing there for a battle, they pursued him and finally very quickly caught up with him. And when they caught up with him, Jayadratha was in no mood to fight. He was already, shaking. All his limbs, his whole body was shivering. And but then Bhima was very, very angry. He had to vent his anger. So he started knocking around Jayadratha like he was some piece of doll. So he started punching him, he started kicking him, and after some time, this Jayadratha, just by Bhima's use of fists and his knees, Jayadratha practically was almost dead. Then Arjuna quickly reminded Bhima, Bhima, please remember, Yudhishthira Maharaj has told us not to kill him. He is after all, the husband of our sister Dushala. She should not become a widow. So please don't kill him. Bhima was reminded by Arjuna, and then finally he pulled himself back. Bhima's anger was so much that he would not have stopped himself. But somehow Arjuna managed to remind Bhima, and then Bhima also he restrained himself. And then now, Bhima's anger, somehow it had to come out. So what he did, he shaved off the head of Jayadratha except for a few clumps of hair here and there, which is a symbolic way of telling the world that this Kshatriya has been captured and humiliated by another Kshatriya. And then Arjuna and Bhima told him that we are going to spare your life provided you accept that from today you are a subordinate prince to Yudhishthira Maharaj, and that you will always obey his commands. Jayadratha had no other alternative. Either he had to lose his life or he had to agree. Jayadratha, being the coward he was in no mood to oppose whatever was being said. He readily agreed. Then Bhima and Arjuna caught Jayadratha, took him back to the hermitage and presented him before Yudhishthira Maharaj and Draupadi. And there Jayadratha fell at the feet of Yudhishthira Maharaj and Draupadi, begged forgiveness from them, and accepted to be a subordinate king to the Pandavas, and he would always obey their command. Like this he accepted. Yudhishthira Maharaj, being the very generous and noble person he was, very quickly he forgave Jayadratha and he advised him, please do not do such things. This does not behoove you as a king. As a king you should behave in more noble ways, and you should protect the citizens. You should not do such things. Like that, many ways nicely Yudhishthira Maharaj advised Jayadratha on the principles of Dharma, and Draupadi also forgave him. Okay, some mistake he did. Anyway, after all, he is Dushala's husband, so she also forgave him. And then the Pandavas released Jayadratha. Now Jayadratha slowly trudged back, and as he was going back, the humiliation he had suffered, he was not able to digest it. Although in front of the Pandavas he had accepted that he would be subordinate to the Pandavas and he would obey their commands, at heart he had other plans. He wanted to take revenge. Now how to take revenge? Jayadratha was a weakling in front of the Pandavas. So what to do now? So he thought, the only way is that I have to perform some tapasya, some austerities, and I have to please Mahadeva, Lord Shiva, and get a benediction from him that I will be able to kill the Pandavas. Thinking like this, Jayadratha walked and went all the way to Gangotri. He went to Gangotri, which is in Uttarakhand and which is in the Himalayas, and it is quite a arduous climb to reach to Gangotri. So he went all the way to Gangotri, and there he meditated and did tapasya for a long period of time. And after some time, Lord Shiva, being pleased with his tapasya, appeared before Jayadratha. Lord Shiva is Ashutosha. He is very quickly pleased by people's austerities, and Lord Shiva very quickly gives blessings and benedictions to his devotees. Lord Shiva does not think that his benedictions, whether they are harmful or they are for the good of the people. Whatever the people ask, Lord Shiva very quickly and very generously he gives. That's the nature of Lord Shiva. So Jayadratha, by his tapasya, he managed to please Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva appeared before Jayadratha. And he asked Jayadratha that, "Oh Jayadratha, I am pleased with your tapasya. It looks like you are expecting some boon from me. So please ask what you want to." So then Jayadratha folded his hands before Lord Shiva and he said, "My request is that please grant me a boon that one day I will be able to kill all the 5 Pandavas in battle." Now, when Jayadratha made this request before Lord Shiva, what was Lord Shiva's response? Please join us in our next episode to know about this. Thank you for joining us today. Hare Krishna. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.